Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12, verse 2. With these words, I greet you, Jamaica, the diaspora, and the world, in the powerful name of God Almighty. I am the great defender, aka XYZ. It is only with the transformation of the mind that we can have a better world and a better Jamaica. We cannot be physically reborn again, but we can transform our minds to be better human beings, literally a better version of ourselves each day. Jamaica has come into turmoil. The leadership has been wanting. The leadership has been incapable. The leadership has literally been incapacitated. The leadership of Jamaica is ranked amongst the worst in the world. The people of Jamaica have gone from greatness to nothingness. We have gone from the likes of the great Marcus Garvey to the fragments that you see now that people are looking to for leadership. The fragile mindedness of our leaders, the complicity into crime, their affiliation to known criminals, their financing of criminal networks, have not set a good example for our youngsters, which unfortunately are the future of Jamaica. And when we look at how our youngsters have gravitated to violence, have gravitated to evil, as opposed to gravitating to good, we cannot help but acknowledge that had we been under better leadership, more calculated governance, had we been under leadership that had the well-being of our future generation, the well-being of the present generations, and the well-being of Jamaica itself as a land, as a country, we would have been in a much better position. Today, Jamaica is ranked as the pariah state of the Caribbean and one of the most violent and volatile capitals of the world. Jamaica is seen as one of the most unsafe countries in the world. The murder rate in Jamaica is astronomically high. And when we look on the fact that more people are dying of murder than any other sickness or diseases in Jamaica, it is something to be concerned about. Some will say that the youths are impoverished and that they are murdering and committing robberies and different crimes because they are desperate. That is the excuse that we get from different quarters of our society. But I would like to remind you that poor people do the right things too, and that many of you who are listening to this broadcast who are listening to this conversation that we're having now will acknowledge that you grew up poor and you were not criminals. Some of you would remember that you did not have a second pair of shoes to wear and you did the right thing. A lot of you will remember that you could not open a refrigerator in your house because you didn't have one to open and you did not become a criminal. So the excuse that poverty is the reason why many of our youngsters are the way they are, it is a falsity. It is wrong. It is a lie. And do not believe it for a moment. It comes down to leadership. Leadership is a wide net. It is not just a matter of focusing on retaining your seat in parliament and then the country can go to hell because you have won your seat. Leadership is motivating your present and future generation towards greatness, inspiring a people to be the best that they can be. And when we have the philosophies coming out of the dancehall that is corrupting the minds of our youngsters, and they are doing a better job with the propaganda than our leaders. Our leaders have not harnessed the propaganda machinery. They have not taken hold of a better propaganda network to infiltrate the minds of our youngsters and cause them to do what's right. Leadership have failed. And if you ask 10 Jamaicans, are you satisfied with the leadership of your country for the past 25 years? 9 out of 10 will tell you no, they are not impressed with the leadership over the past 25 years. And so something is fundamentally wrong. And we have lost a generation to that lack of leadership, lack of vision, lack of appeal to the minds of our youngsters to be the best that they can be. When a youngster is willing to throw away a lifespan of about 75 years and above to die at 17, 18, and 19 years of age to be a part of a gang, to become something relevant just for a moment, or so he feels, so he thinks, then clearly something is wrong because there's not the alternative to that. And this is my point where leadership comes in. The schools in Jamaica that are bludgeoning your children with CXC subjects, with all these subjects that they have to pay how much money for. The government have not put into those curriculums civil education. They have not taught them the history of the greatness of their ancestors, to let them know that they belong to a great people and a great race of people coming out of Africa. They have not taught them about the greatness of a Marcus Garvey, the vision of a Bob Marley, the greatness of many of the leaders of Africa, the great leaders that run the kingdoms of Kush, of Timbuktu, and the great Sudan, the Egypt, the Kemets of the past. As Marcus Garvey put it, a people without knowledge of their roots and their past are like trees without roots. And even the leaders have not studied the history of our people. We have a set of youngsters that know nothing about the past. They know nothing about using hungry belly to work for belly full. They know nothing about using time as straw and turning straw into gold. This is where government comes in. These are the lessons that must be taught in the schools in Jamaica. They tell you that your children go to high schools and they are public high schools. But I want to tell you that every high school in Jamaica is a private high school, because every high school in Jamaica you have to pay school fees or tuition fees. So if you are paying tuition fees, it means it's a private high school. But they have lied to you and let you think it's public high schools. And so many of the parents in Jamaica, after they have worked and paid their school fees for their children to go to these high schools, they can go no further, because there's not a system in place to make sure that they can go any further. In fact, they have done very well to take their children to fifth forms. But what happened after that? They fall by the wayside. The gangs are waiting. The guns are waiting. The drugs are waiting. And where is government? Sitting idly by, waiting for the next election to give them $5,000, $10,000, and a t-shirt, and to tell them to vote for them. Now I say to my present Jamaicans, if you can jump on the buses and the trucks and the vans and the cars and go to these political meetings for 5,000 worthless Jamaican dollars or 10,000 worthless Jamaican dollars, what are you willing to do for a future that will guarantee you a good life presently, a better life for your children, and an even better life for your grandchildren? Weigh the options. Which will you choose? And so this is where we're at now as a people and as a country, where the people of Jamaica have got to begin to choose a future. I've got to choose a future over a bellyful. And how long will you choose a bellyful over a future? It is time you begin to demand quality leaders. Leaders that are morally upright. Men and women that have the vision for greatness of your country. Our country is one of the most wasted countries in the world. The natural resources of our country are not being harnessed and harvested in the right way. Our young men are more contented to smoke weed and idle the days away rather than become productive citizens. And this is where government comes in again. We have a military that is underutilized. We have to put our soldiers to work, take them out there. If we have to handcuff the youngsters to teach them on the universities of the street corners, if we have to take the instructors to the street corners and have them under handcuffs to listen to the daily lessons of civil education, that's what we have to do. Release them after the lessons are over. They will have learned something here. We have to use the tools at our disposal to solve the problems that we have. Our governments over the years have depended on overseas help to solve the country's problems. I want to tell you that the oppressors will not solve the problems of the oppressed. We look at what has gone on from the continent of Africa through the entire Caribbean, Central and South America, with the remnants of the slaves that many have been bludgeoned to death because they could not learn the various languages fast enough. Many have been betted on to be slaughtered as to whether the women are having a boy or a girl. These are facts of history where women were cut wide open just for a bet to prove if they were having a boy child or a girl child. We have been through a lot as a people, and I know that the remnants of the slaves are traumatized. And we are going through the post-slavery traumatic disorder. But we can't depend on the people that brought us to this point and have subcontracted the mind destruction to our leaders. leaders. Our leaders are merely finishing the job for the oppressors. They are merely carrying out the instructions from the oppressors. And so we can see it when a politician comes into a community and he does not ask for the teacher, he does not ask for the nurse, he does not ask for the hardworking people of the community, he asks for the most violent man in that community. If you give money to one individual to disperse it, it's not going to happen. And so we need blanket reforms where every individual in Jamaica is registered under a national welfare program, where every young man and woman, every boy and girl can go up to the government's office and receive their monthly welfare checks to give the government a cushion to reset the country. Each individual must be treated equally. You cannot have them as subjects and giving one man and letting him think that he is the superior. You have to deal with them individually. So government has failed to recognize the value of each Jamaican and to know their strengths and weaknesses and to utilize them in a productive manner. Our country can do way better than it is. I have also recommended the changing of the currency to the United States dollars because that is the benchmark in which our people are held. They are held to that standard. We have to pay the equivalent for goods and services that they pay for it in United States dollars, and yet they're earning at least a fifth of what the cheapest state in the United States is earning. And so you can't ask a people to be earning 15 and 20% less than anywhere in the United States, and you're using that value system to charge them for goods and services. It is not fair. And so our people are always coming from way behind, and that is why it seems so hard. But if we level the playing field, we will get a better result from our people. We have the rose apples are eaten by birds. We have the star apples eaten by birds. We have the Ethiopia apple eaten by birds. We have the jackfruits eaten by birds. We have the mangoes eaten by birds. The sugarcane eaten by rats. And we cry that we are poor. Our government does not have the vision to utilize what we have to make our country a stronger and better country. What price will we pay for being stupid? And if you continue to run behind these set of politicians, you even have a higher price to pay. It is time you begin to look into yourselves as a people. We begin to look into ourselves as a country and say, enough is enough. It is time to demand quality leaders. This set of leaders have failed, and they have failed us miserably. With these words, I rest my case for now. Like, share, and subscribe. Spread the word so it can be heard. God bless you all. And as I have said, spread the word so it can be heard. Thank you, and God bless you once more.